let's talk about hitting the Makiwara. Okay, first off, what's the purpose of hitting the Makiwara? The purpose is to develop power. Okay, it also helps you to figure out your alignment, your proper alignment. All right, one of the things I like to tell students that when they first start hitting the Makiwara is the Makiwara will hit you back. And what I mean by that is if you don't hit it right, you can 100% hurt yourself. All right, so there's numerous ways to train on the Makiwara. All right. I see a lot of video of people training on the Makiwara. The way they're training, I don't agree with. Okay, I see a lot of this kind of action where they move the body weight in and they hit. Okay, it's not developing your power the way you want to develop your power. So the Makiwara is a tool. Okay, the tool is to develop your striking power. All right, so that may not be glamorous. It may not be like when you work a bag and you can move around the bag and hit it and move and duck. And okay, Makiwara, you stand in front of and you pound it. Okay, that's what you do. Now, when you're young, you can pound it pretty much as you want. Okay, again, you need to start. I'm outdoors, obviously, in Arizona. You hear dogs, you hear all kinds of things. So just we'll have to deal with it for this video. But the Makiwara, when you strike it, you want to build up. So, you know, you don't want to go out there the first day and hit it 100 times, okay? And then the next day you can't move your hand. You can't make a fist, you can't move your fingers. So it's a build up, okay? You know, now that I'm 61, I don't hit the Makiwara as much as I used to when I was younger. I don't. When I was younger, I hit it a lot, and I hit all kinds of Makiwara. I had a wall-mounted one that I purchased from Sharado. I used to hit that. I had another wall-mounted one in a YMCA I trained in, which was from Century or Asian World. I used to pound that. We had a 2x4 similar to this one in the first dojo I trained in. Used to hit that. This is an iron stand, okay, with a 2x4, okay, with a pad on it. This pad, I believe I got from Kamikaze. It's an excellent pad. I really like it, okay. So a couple of things. Do we want to condition our knuckles? Absolutely. How much do we want to condition our knuckles? So I was at lunch a few years ago with a Japanese sensei, been training a long time, and we sat down at lunch and he said to me, hey, Calandra sensei, I want to compliment you on your knuckles. And I said, oh, because I don't have the big calluses. He says, yeah, you don't have those big ugly calluses. I said, yeah, I never understood that. Now, okay, if you want to do that and advertise to everybody in the world that you do some type of fighting art, go right ahead. If you think those calluses are really necessarily helping you when you punch someone, I don't think so. I've punched a lot of people for real in combat in the head, okay? Never cut open my knuckles. When I was a teenager, I punched someone in the mouth and I cut my knuckle because it hit his tooth, okay? Whether I had a callus or not, might have cut it anyway, all right? So I don't have those big ugly, you know, my knuckles are fairly big because I have done martial arts and pounded the Makiwara, but I don't have any calluses on my knuckles, okay? So there is a thing called Wolff's Law. Wolff's Law is whatever you do, the body reacts to it, and if the body feels it needs to strengthen that area of the body, it'll do that. So what are we talking about? So obviously, if I'm pounding the Makiwara, the body's going to say, wow, there's a lot of stress being put on that fist, on those knuckles, right? So it may increase the density of the knuckles, right? Make the bone bigger. It may make the wrist bigger and make these bones stronger, the forearm bones. So it's the same thing in Koteki Tai. When we do body conditioning exercises, you know, I used to hear this nonsense. Well, it's for when you block the guy's punch so you hurt his arm. Okay, total nonsense. Just ridiculous, okay? Koteki Tai is about conditioning the body. You strike here, right? And if, like feeding crane, we do a whole body conditioning. Chen style Taiji, we do a whole body conditioning, all right? It's to make the bones stronger. It's to make the body physically stronger. If your bones are denser, that means your body's stronger. One of my female students years ago went to the doctors. She was older, probably late 50s, maybe 60, said to her, you have the bones of a teenager. training in Isshin-Ryu Karate, training in Chen Taiji, doing the body conditioning, feeding cranes, she's also training in. So it has benefits. Again, overdo anything, it's no good, including the Makiwara. Okay, so hitting the Makiwara. For me, I like to set myself up, comfortable position, seisan. I'm not, getting in a big stance. I do Isshin-Ryu Karate. I don't do the other ones. And if I fight, I'm going to be in a natural stance. I'm not going to be, in this kind of position here. All right. When I strike the Makiwara, I'm looking to develop this rotational power with my waist. Okay. So Isshin-Ryu, we punch from here, but if you're punching from here, whatever. All right. Again, we do a vertical fist in Isshin-Ryu. So when I punch, I don't have any of this action. So again, you've heard me talk about the rod. The rod's through the body. I rotate around the rod. Now, when I punch, I keep the elbow down. When I hit the Makiwara, I push and hold it for a second. If I want to condition the knuckles on my skin, I twist into this position. So I twist the fist, all right? So I might punch, twist the fist. If I want to just give those skin a little bit of a slight burn, a little bit of a slight pushing it, okay? But you don't have to do that, okay? So when I hit, I rotate and I drive in. So when I drive in, I lock and I push. I hit and I push. I hit and I push. And I'm focusing on the first two knuckles every time, right? Focusing on those first two knuckles every time. Shoulder down, pushing into the elbow, everything here, pressure on the feet, especially the rear foot. So the power, there's a line of power that comes up and comes out through the first two knuckles, okay? And again, my age now, maybe I'll do 10 on the right side, then my left side's my lesser side, so I might do 12 to 15 on the left side. When I was younger, I'd do a lot more, okay? So that's the basic punch. If you're doing a twist punch, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. When I come in, I twist, right? The big thing is that elbow has to be pointed down. If you let your arm creep out like this, your power is leaking out. So if you're doing the twist punch, you have to keep the elbow down, all right? Now, I have a nice thick pad here. It absorbs it very good. I'm not beating on my body. I'm not young anymore. I don't want to beat on my body like I did when I was younger, okay? You'll see some guys like to use the rice rope, okay? Use the rice rope, you're going to be cutting up your knuckles pretty good. But if you want to do that, again, I'm all for joy. Whatever makes people happy, knock yourself out. I'm not a fan. I don't want to deform my body. I don't want to damage my body, okay? So frankly, like the whole rice rope thing, I think is a bit of a macho thing. I think in modern times, it really doesn't serve that much of a purpose. But again, if you want to do that, you go right ahead, all right? What I don't recommend is when you hit the Makiwara, you do this action here. So you get your mass starting to go forward. Because again, it's giving you a false idea. And are you really driving in as hard as you think you are? When what I'm recommending is you don't use the body mass to drive the punch in. You rotate from the waist and drive in. You rotate from the waist, drive in and push, drive in and push, drive in and push. So that's how we want to do it. Obviously, I'd be doing it on my left side too, okay? So that's the straight punch, okay? Now, we talk about some different fist configurations. So we have the Phoenix Eye fist like we do in Chen style. So for my practical method friends, all right, and Chen style friends, anybody that punches like this, okay, you have to make the fist properly, make sure the finger's reinforced, okay? So will I stand out here and sometimes work this? Yeah, but there's no way I'm hitting as hard with this as I am with my knuckles. And frankly, I'm never going to develop it where I can hit as hard with this as I can with my first two knuckles. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if you want to take the time to do that, go right ahead. You're going to be spending a lot of time on that because that's the only way you're going to be able to do it, where you hit as hard with this single knuckle, this Phoenix Eye fist, as you do with the first two knuckles, okay? But I do stand here and I hit it and I will do this twist. I'll hit it and I twist. And then sometimes what I do is I raise the rear heel like we do in practical method and I push. I just push and I push. And yeah, it hurts a little bit on here, but it also gives me that feel for resistance, And let's face it, if I'm hitting you with this, I'm not hitting you in a hard target. I'm not hitting you in the jaw, Okay, I'm hitting you in the throat, I'm hitting you in the eye, I'm hitting you in the temple, I'm hitting you in the body. Okay, so yeah, you can work it again, but work it smart. That's one of the things I want you to take from this video, is work the Makiwara smart to get the most benefit out of it. So what I teach my students is I normally bring them out here and I show them a quick routine. And I say, so you got to figure out your routine. So maybe I do 10 punches each side, right? Then maybe I do 10 back knuckle strikes, okay? So now if I'm doing back knuckle strikes, maybe I start here and I strike in with the back fist like that, right? And I hit it. Now, the backs of the knuckles aren't as tough as the fronts of the knuckles. So when you first start doing this, this might be a little uncomfortable, okay? So you want to take your time, again, build it up. Gradually build it up to where you can really lay in, all right? So I'm here, I drive in, right? Drive in, drive in. Now, I may decide, you know what? I'm going to do a back fist, straight punch. Back fist, straight punch. So now I'm doing a little combination, right? But again, I'm not leaning. It's the arm muscles. The body's doing the work, not this, okay? So, can be here. Can do what? Now I can take this, now I can turn it into a shuto strike. Edge of the hand, right? Okay? Be careful, especially if you're using a Makiwara that the pad's not as thick. Be careful about hitting with this little bone right here, okay? You can damage the hand, all right? So I come here, I strike this way, right? So maybe here, and again, push. Here, push, push, push. And you've got to figure out your distance from the Makiwara, okay? Another one I might do is I might do like the Isshin-Ryu 13th basic, where I come here and maybe I do strike here, and now I strike top. Now, what I'm doing now is there's a leather pad under here with a little bit of padding behind it, but there's no padding on top. The leather is right on the 2x4. So if I do this one, I might come in, strike in this way, right? And then this comes down on the top. Now, if I want to condition the skin here a little bit, as I hit down, I'll rub, right? So I hit, rub, hit, rub, hit, rub. Now I may also do this one, hit here and hit on the side. So hit on the side, hit on the side, okay? So it's another way you can do it, all right? So we've covered the flat fist, vertical, right? Makes a difference. You could also do underhand, like we do in jiu-jitsu, and some of the Chen Tai-Chi punches, we can punch in underhand. We also have the rising punch in Isshin-Ryu. I suggest you work it. It's an excellent punch, okay? So that's another punch you can work. I see very few people working out in a Makiwara, all right? So we did the Phoenix Eye Fist, the single knuckle. We did the Shuto, right? Now we can do the Haito, the ridge hand, okay? So if I'm working my ridge hand, I might be on the side, all right? So now I'm on the side, and I'm coming up like this, right? So again, I'm not doing this with my body. It's my arm hitting. My arm hits. And again, this in the beginning, this will hurt a little bit more. So again, it's slow and steady. You know, first day, just do 5 to 10 each hand. See what your hands feel like the next day. If your hands are beat up, give it a day or two's rest. Make sure your hands feel good. Then go after the Makiwara again, okay? So again, that build-up, all right? You know, now I've been hitting it for so long, I just know. So it's very easy when you have the experience. But in the beginning, if you don't have the experience, you want to be careful, all right? So again, Haito coming up this way, here, right? Here, right? Here, okay? Now, it can also stand to the side and come in with a Shuto this way. So you can experiment and play around with different things when it comes to hitting the Makiwara, okay? I don't recommend you hit the Makiwara till your knuckles are bleeding, okay? Again, if they are, you've got to wait till they heal. So now again, you're not hitting the Makiwara for several days, because if you keep hitting it, you're just doing damage to the body, okay? And you don't want to do damage, all right? So like me, being in a lot of situations where I had to actually use my martial arts and actually strike people, okay? There were times where my punch was a little off, okay? I was aiming for a particular spot on my opponent, right? The criminal I was fighting, and I missed that. I missed it. I mean, look, combat's chaos. It happens. Nothing's ever perfect in combat. And I actually punched a few times. I punched guys in the skull. Okay. And again, I used to think, boy, you don't want to punch somebody in the skull. And I still agree. You don't want to punch somebody in the skull. But it was interesting. I punched, this only happened a handful of times. I punched him in the skull. And my hand, I mean, it rung. I mean, I felt it. I felt it in the hand, but I didn't injure myself, which I was like, okay, cool, right? So I didn't injure myself, which told me I was making a proper fist, right? And then my conditioning by working on the Makiwara, the heavy bag, and other things, okay, had paid off, okay. But I'm not recommending you go out there and punch anybody in the skull because it's not what you want to do, all right. So palm heel. Can we also work palm heels? Of course we can, all right. So palm heel, come out, palm heel. So now we're conditioning this, right? And driving in and pushing, driving in and pushing, driving in and pushing, okay? So we covered the different fists, shuto, haito, tetsui, palm heel, right? Now, what about nukite? Okay, my favorite way to strengthen my nukite, okay, is to hit my fingers into my own palm. So when I was a police officer, I was on foot patrol, so I had 8 hours to kill. So, sometime during the night, I would do this and I would go back and forth and I'd work it. And it got to the point where, I could hit pretty hard with the fingers. Now, I know we'll see people in Okinawa breaking boards with their fingers and stuff. And also if they hold up their fingers, you'll see they're all deformed, okay? Not interested, all right? Have I used Nukite in combat? Yes. Have I used it a lot in combat? Yes, okay? Where did I use it to? I used it to the eye. I used it to the throat, okay? I never hurt my fingers once. Never hurt my fingers once, okay? So, again, what's it designed for? Is it designed to strike someone in the body? I guess if you really develop it, but if the guy's got a heavy leather coat on, sorry, no, it's not going to work, okay? Is it intended to hit, a cheekbone or some other bone? No, it's not. You're going to hurt your fingers. Okay, it's as simple as that. So again, if I want to work the Makiwara and condition my Nukite, I work where I push, I push, I push, and I just try to work on the stiffening of those fingers. So that's another way I'll work my Nukite. But usually I work like this. And yeah, you can do the sand, you can do the rice. Again, if you want to set that up, go right ahead. Famous pitcher, Steve Carlton for the Philadelphia Phillies. He had a tube, and that's one of the ways he conditioned his pitching arm. He would drive his fingers into the rice and come out and drive his fingers into the rice, okay? Obviously other ball players thought he was crazy, but he's in the Hall of Fame. So it must have done something. He felt it was doing something for him, which is conditioning his hand, making his skin tough, all right? So that's one of the other benefits of the Makiwara. It will make the skin over the knuckles or the various parts of the hand that you're striking, it will make it tougher, which we want, okay? Again, I just don't want the big calluses. The founder of Isshin-Ryu, famous, he used to drive a 10-penny nail into a solid block of wood because he had a massive callus on the edge of his hand, okay? And they said he developed that. He had a 2x4, and when he'd be sitting in the dojo watching students, he'd have the 2x4 between his legs and he'd be hitting it and rubbing his hand, hitting it and rubbing his hand. And he developed this massive callus. And then one day he went to do the demo and he was just a little off with the strike and it tore the whole callus off. End of demonstrations. So he stood up and with his heel drove the nail into the wood with his heel, right? But he never did that demo again because the callus was gone. It would have taken him forever to make a new one. So I'm not interested in driving a nail into a block of wood. Again, if that makes you happy, whatever makes you happy makes me happy. But that's not my goal in martial arts. My goal in martial arts is to be able to defeat the enemy, the predator, the criminal who's trying to harm me. That's who my foe is, okay? It's not another martial artist, all right? So be careful when using the Makiwara. Build it up slowly. I don't let my child students hit the Makiwara. Usually probably around maybe 13, 14, I let them start hitting it light, okay? And building up slowly. And if you have an older student, someone in their 50s and 60s that's just starting, again, you should monitor them doing it initially to make sure they're not overdoing it. All right. One of my teachers, Tayani Sensei, said to me, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you can hit it as hard as you want. When you get past your 40s and into your 50s, you should calm down a little bit with it. Remember, every time I hit this, that vibration is coming back into my body. Okay. So when you're younger, your body's young, it's tough, it's pliable, it can handle all that. As you get older, you want to be a little bit more careful. So the same way you want to adjust some of your other training so you don't cause injury, you want to adjust your Makiwara training so you don't cause injury. Okay. Can I do some other things? Yeah. Can I maybe do the thumb and work the thumb here? Yeah. Can I work the double knuckle strike? Yeah. You can do whatever you want. Okay. You can play around with this, and again, play with whatever you want. All right. I'm not someone who's going to sit here like in the Steven Seagal movie and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's a waste of my time. My time's valuable. That is a waste of time. Okay. I punch it, I push it, I work my muscles, I work my alignment. I make sure my elbow's down, I make sure my arm, everything's in a line when I punch. So I normally line up the Makiwara with my hip, okay? So I don't stand center and punch to my center. I stand where this is in the line with the thing I'm striking, okay? So I'm here, the Makiwara is here, this comes right out in that line, okay? That's the way I hit, all right? And that's kind of it. So I think a lot of people don't realize that with the Makiwara, slow and steady wins the day, and that it's a tool. So it's not as sexy a training device as people think it is. You're hitting a heavy bag, you can dance around it, you can move. You're hitting a speed bag, you get that rhythm, right? Great, right? It looks cool, right? Makiwara, you're just standing here and pounding it. That's what you're doing. You're pounding it. So you're not doing all these combinations and things. It's not what the tool's designed for. Okay. So again, if you're younger, you can stand here and you can hit it a lot. All right. Like just this little bit I've been hitting it. Obviously, I'm feeling it in my muscles because I'm hitting it and I'm pushing. I'm hitting it and I'm pushing. I'm hitting it and I'm pushing. The other thing is try to hit in the same spot. So like when I started on the early Makiwaras, I actually put a dot. I put a dot and I would try to cover that dot with my first 2 knuckles. And look, even here, do I sometimes slide off and miss? Yeah, why? Because this, concentration, right? I glanced away, right? Whatever, thought about how nice it is out, and then I slide off and miss. So then you got to reset, okay? So take your time with the Makiwara. Don't overdo it. Again, if you want to deform your fingers, if you want to deform your knuckles, if you want to have major arthritis when you get older, then by all means go to town on this thing like crazy, okay? But you're going to pay a price, all right? So you want to do this, again, slow and steady wins the day. Build up slowly, get to a certain point where, yeah, I can really lay into this. I can lay into this and I don't have any problems. Doesn't hurt my knuckles, doesn't hurt my arm. I don't have any, arthritis where, oh my God, I'm feeling it, right? So, but you go crazy and you take it past a certain point, you're going to have to live with the results, okay? That's why I'm not a big fan of, I don't want to deform my fingers. I want to be able to use my hands as I get older, okay? So again, why do you want to advertise you do martial arts by having the big, ugly knuckles? I just never saw a reason for it. And if you say, oh, well, it's important for combat, I'm telling you, no, it's not. All right. It's just not. So it's not. Okay. I've hit plenty of people with both my hands and never needed calluses to hurt them. All right. So just be careful. Take your time. All right. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll do a future one where I talk about kicking the Makiwara, which again is a little bit different. All right. We'll talk about that a little bit. And hope you liked it. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.